Get some more on Trump's bombshell nuclear announcement that the US will resume testing for the first time in over 30 years. And I'm joined now by the Strategic Analysis Australia Director, Peta Jennings. Peta, good to see you again. So why do you think Trump has announced this?
Two reasons. The long-term reason is that the American nuclear arsenal is getting old and significant numbers of American nuclear weapons are actually being retired. American presidents have resisted modernising their nuclear arsenal, but I think they have to do that now for the second reason, which is that China is growing its nuclear arsenal. And of course, President Trump was about to meet Xi Jinping today. So I think this is also an American statement to the Chinese to say, you know, we're going nowhere. We're the top military power in the world, and we're going to back that up with modernised nuclear weapons arsenal. So I think that's why the president is doing it, and it's the right call, Shari. His predecessors should be faulted for failing to address a key part of the American arsenal. And I give Trump credit for doing what Obama and Biden should have done before him, but didn't have the courage to do so.
In terms of what type of weapons will be tested and the location, underground, underwater, surely not in the atmosphere, but it could be. We don't know any of this detail yet. What do you expect it'll be?
Well, of course, none of it is clear from Trump's statement today, but what I would say is I don't think we're going to see nuclear explosions in the atmosphere or underground even, because that technology is known to work. It's been working for generations. What they will be working on is what are called subcritical tests, which will make sure that a modern design bomb has the capacity to detonate at a particular time. And those things typically happen underground, or indeed even in smaller scale sort of desktop scientific laboratories. That is what I think Trump is talking about here. And I certainly don't think we're going to go back to the era of massive nuclear detonations, which we saw in the 50s and 60s. They're not necessary, but what is necessary is to prove that new weapons technology works, and that's where the Americans' focus will be, I'm sure.
And as you say, also a reminder of America's strength so that it retains its position as a world leader. I just want to also ask you about, you know, we all saw late last night after my show went to air, very warm relationship between Trump and Albanese. Now, a lot of people just on the surface think, oh, they've got a great relationship. But wasn't this Trump ahead of the China meeting saying, you know, we don't need you, China. We've got rare earth critical minerals from Australia. The same with the warm meeting with Japan as well. Do you think that was part of it, that played into it?
Well, I think the good news here is that Trump is discovering the value of allies, which is actually very important to sustain America's strength around the world. And there are no closer allies than Australia and Japan in the Asia-Pacific region. You know, I think Anthony Albanese has done a surprisingly good job, given the unpromising start, of managing to keep the defence relationship with the United States moving forward, even though Albanese has still to really address the level of defence spending, which in Australia is far too low, and where there are many questions that still have to be answered about the future of AUKUS and how we're going to deliver those submarines. I guess we all know, Shari, Trump is not a details person. He's satisfied that he's got an agreement on critical minerals with Albanese, and he's prepared to accept that on balance, the alliance relationship with Australia, just as with Japan, is a net plus for the United States, and all the more so as he now goes into a meeting with Xi Jinping.
Yeah, and speaking of that meeting with Xi, it was their first face-to-face since 2019. I mean, that was even before the pandemic, before Trump was, you know, rightly saying that COVID-19 came from the Wuhan Institute of Virology. So the relationship sunk to a really low position. Now there was this very warm meeting today. Here was some of it.
Given our different national conditions, we do not always see eye to eye with each other.
President Xi is a great leader of a great country, and I think we're going to have a fantastic relationship for a long period of time.
So, Peta, what was your view on how the talks went?
Well, it's good that they're getting on publicly. Of course, none of this changes the underlying strategic reality, which is that China is challenging America's place as the top dog, the strategic boss of the Indo-Pacific region. And China will continue to do so. So, you know, my advice to Trump, not that he's asking me, Sherry, would be don't believe what Xi Jinping says to you.
Yeah.
You know, Xi Jinping went to Washington, D.C. and said to Barack Obama that they wouldn't militarise the South China Sea and that they'd cut back on cyber spying against the United States. And, of course, the Chinese did the very opposite of those sorts of things. So I'm sure Trump has the savvy to realise that he doesn't take at face value anything that Xi says to him. But on the face of it, I think I'd rather the two leaders were talking positively together. That's more encouraging than them having fights.
Yeah.
And so I think this is really what we're seeing here is Trump's ability to manage a meeting, an international meeting, when he needs to get a good outcome.
Yeah, no, we're seeing a different Trump this term in office, that's for sure. Peter Jennings, appreciate your time. Thank you.